All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday, October 24th, depending on where you are in the world, Thursday, October 25th. This is Contributor Experience, Kubernetes Special Interest Group, concerned with the experience that our upstream contributors have. My name is Paris. I work at Google. I'm a community manager here, for those who do not know me. I did, for those that are just joining, I did include the link in the chat. And I will do it one more time for the folks that just joined. If you could add your name to the attendee roster there, just so we have a point of reference in case we would like to reach out to you further, that would be great. And then we'll get started with our show. All right. First things first, we do have a code of conduct that is from CNCF, that's the Cloud Native Compute Foundation. That simply says that we should all be awesome to each other. This is a Zoom call, which does make it hard sometimes to have discussions. So if you would like to say something and someone else is saying something, please feel free to raise your hand and we'll try to catch that in the dialogue. And then next step, the next thing that we usually do is an introduction for new contributors. However, there are several folks on the line right now that have not interacted with our SIG before, so I think we should all give extremely brief introductions of ourselves so that we can just get to know each other a little bit better here. I already gave mine, so let's go and skip to, let's see whose head I see first here. Lucas.
Hello, I am Lukas Grybicki. I am working for CNCF. I created a DevStats project. I am also working on Kubernetes Velocity and CNCF DDM, which is for developer affiliations. And basically that's it.
Thanks, Lucas. DevStats is awesome. Next is Bob.
Hi, my name is Bob Killen. I work for the University of Michigan, and I'm primarily involved with like the contributor site and Discuss and a few other little random things.
Oh, Bob, your random contributions are wonderful. All right. And then next is Noah.
Hi, I'm Noah Abrahams. I'm work for a small consulting company here in Las Vegas, and I'm what am I doing? I am working on the non-code contributors guide, and I'll be seeing a bunch of you in Shanghai, I hope.
All right. And then Nikita.
So hi everyone, I'm Nikita. What do I do? So I work in SIG API machinery, in SIG CLI, in SIG contributor experience sometimes. I help run the GSOC and R3G programs with Paris, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
All right. And yes, Nikita is awesome. We're also going to be, we have an open-ended item for her in a second that we're going to talk about here. Christoph, you're next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christoph Blecher. I am a technical lead for the Contributor Experience SIG. I am also a Kubernetes maintainer. You will usually find me around either in Contrib-X or SIG testing or SIG architecture. I do a lot of work on our tooling and workflow to contribute like some of our automation stuff. As well as our GitHub administration team. So dealing with day-to-day administration of our various GitHub organizations and webhooks and integrations and stuff like that.
Yes, Christoph is extra helpful and one of our top contributors. Arnaud, do you want to do an intro really quick? I know sometimes you have some mic issues as well.
Hi, Arnaud. I'm working in Paris as a junior consultant specialized in Kubernetes. I'm currently in Scotland. It's 4 a.m., so I'm sorry if some trouble to speak clearly.
You should go to bed. I see a lot of heads in the Slack that agree with me right now.
Yeah, I'm about to take a flight in 2 hours. So.
Oh, so you're awake anyway. So you're like, I'm just going to join this party. Thanks for joining us today. All right. And then we have Jeff, Josh, and Deep, and then we are done with the intros and on to our show.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Sika. I also work at the University of Michigan with Bob. Normally we're in the same room together. I help with SIG UI, working on the dashboard, and also with Contribex, doing random projects and small things that make Paris and George happy.
Yay, automation. All right, Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh Burkus. I work for Red Hat. I do a bunch of things for SIG release. Here in contributor experience, I seem to mostly work on new contributor training. And I getting OCD about labels.
Yeah, labels. I feel like we haven't heard that word in a while. Aaron said that for a while, for a couple of months. All right, Deep, you are last, but best, of course.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Deep. I work for Springboard, an edtech startup. I am based out of India. I've just started with Kubernetes community. I've identified 2 SIGs to be trying to be part of, test infra and documentation. So let's see how it goes. And I'm just a newbie. I haven't made any contributions yet. I'm still trying to figure things out.
Well, both of those SIGs are awesome for newbies. So I think you'll get a good lay of the land with those SIGs for sure. All right. So on to our show here. Typically, the next step, what we do is go through our regular program updates. These are programs that we have been maturing for some time or prototyping, etc. Those 3 programs are the Thursday community call that we have every Thursday unless there's a holiday or some other thing, and also office hours, and then meet our contributors. So for Thursday's community call, do we have a host? Are we good with SIGs? And are we good with the Contrib-X tip? Host, I know George is not on the line right now, and he is our host tomorrow. SIGs, I believe GCP is the only one that is not giving an update. And I need to fill that space in, and I think the docs team is actually going to extend their update, so that shouldn't necessarily be too much of a disturbance in the force. And then do we have a contributor experience tip? I think on the template I saw that Aaron was giving one, but it said TBD. So I think we'll just believe that he is, unless anybody here has a contributor experience tip that they would like to deliver at the community meeting tomorrow. Anyone? Otherwise, we'll float with whatever Aaron was TBD'd. All right, we're floating with that. Also, it looks like George always needs office hours volunteers. For those that don't know, office hours is a show that a lot of our contributors get on and answer user-based questions. This is a great way to jump into the project as well, especially if you're a user already and you're looking for that introduction into the introduction into contributing in other ways than code. This is it. If you would like to volunteer, please reach out to George. I will put his name on the agenda as well. George, it's actually Castro Joe, and then George on Slack. All right. And then meet our contributors is very same thing as office hours, except for it's contributors asking contributors questions. This is sort of a mentors on demand. So if you are sitting there saying, hey, I really would like a mentor, look no further. Meet Our Contributors has at least 6 on the line every month, and they will answer all questions from why is my test flaking to how do I become an approver, etc. I always need more volunteers for this as well. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me or yell now, and we'll keep that moving. All right. Next section, we usually do a quick 30-minute run through of the project board that we use to try to keep our head straight. This is obviously in progress right now as we get our project management house in order. What I'd like to do is first go over to the blocked screen. And this screen is going to, the blocked card, I'm sorry. And this screen is going to just let us know what contributors are not moving with. And it looks like we have some sub-project details in SIG XAML and another SIG XAML issue with more working group info. Christoph, I know you're on the line. I think I heard some stuff today. I don't know if it was like an official channel or what it was, but that steering committee agreed that we could put that information on SIG XAML. Did you hear that officially in any channels or?
I saw the comment on the issue, but I haven't synced up with Aaron on that. Like if there's something specific that they had in mind. I had like a prototype in a branch somewhere on my machine that I had kind of run through that.
Okay, cool.
So I can try and push that up at some point and double check with Aaron that that's what steering was looking for as far as how they're organizing working groups.
Okay. I'm going to put this in the back in the in progress then. Is that cool?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then do you have anything? I think this was Aaron that actually put this card on here, but the sub-project details in SIG XAML. Do you have any info about that? It's cool. It's cool if you say no.
No, I think there's.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's still like an in-progress discussion as far as how, like right now, SIG XAML just has a bunch of the links, and I think the aspirational is being able to pull some of those details in so they're visible, but yeah, it doesn't do that right now.
Yes, exactly. All right, and then I'm pulling some cards over from the future cycles. I'm actually going to get rid of this entire card here and rework that. All right, so then...
Just to mention, because you're not sharing your screen right now, I did put the link in the chat to the...
Okay, yep, I'll go ahead and share my screen too.
Everybody can also follow along if you want to see the project board. The link is in the chat.
All right. We've got a ton of stuff in progress. We have at least 9 things going right now, as well as 5 umbrella issues. So this is a lot of work, I think, and we've got 13 things in the backlog. For those that are on the call right now that are looking for work, there's a ton of help wanted issues that I'm not going to necessarily go through all right now because we just don't have the time. But if you are looking to dive in, our backlog has plenty that you can definitely try, including good first issues, which means you shouldn't need a whole lot of either Kubernetes and/or contributor experience skills to do those things, and we can help you out with those. Just some highlights. Is there anybody that wants to stand up and give an update for anything that's in progress right now?
Just one thing. Based on like what you and I have been working on the side, we might want to move the one-on-one improvements from future cycles to in progress.
I'm very down with that.
All right.
All right. Jeff, you want to give an update there then?
Yeah, so right now we're piloting a workflow where assigning, so say someone wants to be mentored by Josh in SIG release. I'm just using you as an example, Josh, don't worry. They would create an issue in a repo and it would be tagged, SIG release. Someone from SIG release would say, Josh is available and maybe has time in the next couple months. They would fill out the issue template. There would be a webhook that would trigger some form of automatic scheduling. An email would fire off to both the mentor and the mentee. They would figure out, based on this calendar widget, when they can sync up or if they can't sync up. And then it would actually automatically generate a Zoom link and send them the Zoom link and create the calendar event.
Awesome.
That's very cool.
It is super cool, y'all. So for those that don't have context right now, which might be a lot of you, we are trying to build a mentoring program right now. I did one I did this a few months back, ran a few tests, and the test came back that we had to do a lot of process improvements. However, everyone that did the test said that it was an awesome thing as long as we got a lot of the details right in the process. This is essentially sort of one-on-one standard kind of mentor matching, but with a much greater or much more sophisticated modern twist, because everyone says that they're extremely busy and that they can't do one-on-one mentoring regularly, or a lot of people just want a few things and just want people's time, like a dedicated time slot. So for instance, some people just want to pair program with someone to get a concept down or to see if they're on the right way. Some people need an Ask Me Anything session so that they can just have a private conversation with someone about their advancement here. Other people want code-based tours. But as you can see that there's very distinct buckets. So what we can do here is give people pre-populated activities, have mentors that are okay with doing those activities, and they only do it one time. So they're not committing to an entire lifetime of mentoring an individual. They're committed to mentoring that person for one time, 1 hour, and being extra resourceful, extra nice, extra ambassador-like, and then at the end of the call, they hang up and they tell them, here's your next steps, here's your next resources. And then that jumps that person off into hopefully a more progressive forward within the project so that they're not blocked. There is a ton of detail and process that's actually involved with this. It's not as easy as, oh, let's get 2 people on the line together and they, pair program. I actually thought that at one point, like, oh, let's just get 2 engineers on the line together and like throw them in front of a shared Zoom screen and like let them figure out the pair program. But people know different skills. People know different parts of the code base. So you really do have to put a little bit more effort into matching for the right skill set for the right activity, as well as the right tools. And then another pain point was the actual scheduling. People don't want to do the back and forth. And then that's where Jeff comes in. And Jeff did this demo for us yesterday with the widget that he built, and it's pretty cool. So we're going to try to automate as much of this process as possible, and also build it in GitHub too. So just like the membership process for Kubernetes is kind of issue template based, we're going to do sort of a similar thing with if you want to apply for mentorship as a mentee or a mentor, and then have automation kick off next steps. So. Sorry for long-winded. I just wanted to add some context there because this is a huge project. And I'm actually going to prune this issue because this issue is obviously much longer than like a 2.5 hour window for completion of an issue. So this is a 40-hour at least issue. So that's a little bit about one of the many mentoring initiatives that we're trying to build. That should be super cool. So thank you very much, Jeff, for that. Your help has been awesome. Does anybody else that has anything in progress want to stand up and give an update? Because either A, they might be blocked and therefore we should move their card, or B, has an accomplishment that they'd like to share, or C, or C, have something that they'd like help with. Because we don't have time to stand everybody up. So I just want to make sure that we get everybody in that wants to share. Bob, you have a hand raised?
Just a quick thing. So I know we've talked about it a couple times before about just going forward with the regional boards. Mm-hmm. Should I fire something out to the list to, lazy consensus on just rolling forward with it even without the translated, CNCF code of conducts? Or do you see any sort of block
do me a favor. I would think I would like I'd like the first step to be emailing the Code of Conduct Committee.
Okay.
And that's conduct@kubernetes.io.
are they when we poked on the CNCF code of conduct, like Dan was talking about, like getting it translated, but that looked like it sort of petered out.
Yeah, well, and let's see if the Code of Conduct Committee can drive this at least to an answer for you, because I think you're fine if we link to at least some kind of canonical source of Code of Conduct, whether it's in English or what have you. But we can also see if we can get maybe a volunteer to translate to, and then have like work checked and stuff like that. For those that are looking for context around Bob and I's discussion right now, discuss.kubernetes.io is a web forum that we use. And there are areas where you can have regional chats. Those chats obviously need different instructions based off of language constraints. One of those is the Code of Conduct. So Bob is blocked-ish right now on creating those regional boards until we have some of those translated. Yeah, so I would say try to unblock with the Code of Conduct Committee, and then they'll at least weigh in as to yes, no, or wait for CNCF. You'll get some kind of answer, but it's that way.
Yeah, I thought CNCF was doing the Chinese translation. No.
They are. They said that they would. However, it's been like a month, I think, and there hasn't been much traction on it.
Okay, I'm going to pester Megan about that because I really want that Chinese board to be up before Shanghai. And
yeah, that was the big one that really wanted to have happen. Like the contributor summit's a perfect thing to really sort of announce that or push it for.
Yeah, for sure, definitely in that market. So yeah, no, I think maybe yeah, I would maybe shake the trees again on your deal, and then also maybe either CC or forward to Code of Conduct and ask if they can help unblock you.
Okay, I'm pulling up the GitHub issue now, and I'll at least try one with it.
Yeah, and I don't even think we have it on the board. So do me a favor and put it on the board, and then also we'll put it in the blocked category.
It's under the CNCF repo since they're the ones managing.
I wonder if we should do a mirrored issue here too, just so we can track that. All right, we'll figure that out. Let's figure that out offline. All right, and I'll take a note. I'll take an AI. Follow up with CNCF, regional Code of Conducts for discuss, and file issue against K community to mirror the CNCF issue. All right, cool. All right. Last call for anybody that wants to stand up with anything that they see that's going to be blocked shortly, or accomplishments, or stuff they need help with.
I've got an issue that I owe, but it is an issue specifically about requesting help. So
yeah,
I'm going to be touching base with SAWDEV tomorrow about getting people to help staff the contributor summit and keep that done. We're going to put out much more of a call for, hey, who's going to be around and wants to help out? But it is very distinctly a call for help, so consider it noted.
Awesome. And then I figured out a word that we can use for that too, instead of room monitors, facilitators, room facilitators. Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, yeah, and there's plenty of facilitation guides and stuff online that we can yank too. So then you don't even need to do a whole heck of a lot of work. All right, Noah is going to file an issue for facilitators for the contributor summit in Seattle. All right, cool.
Actually, that brings up an interesting question. Do I need to be in the org to file the issue against the board?
No.
Okay.
Well, if you do have any issues, I can help you. Just ping me. We'll try it. All right. Anybody else? All right. All right. So our first order of business, I actually put this on here I would like to graduate Nikita to owner's file for Kubernetes community repo under mentoring. She has been an awesome help to all of us, not just me, but me selfishly. And I think she's the most deserving person for that. And I'd like to put her in as a reviewer to kick this off. If we have any explicit plus ones, please say so. And if we have any concerns, reach out to me privately. Would anybody like to throw their plus one in the ring? All right.
I need one of those little plus one, like.
All right. Getting a lot of good plus ones. All right. Awesome. All right. And then now what my next step will be, I will take this to the mailing list as well for those that couldn't make this call. This is not a binding agreement, but it will be after the mailing list. We'll give it a 72-hour business time box, and then we will proceed to make the addition in the owner's file. Cool. Also on that same kind of Nikita and I are working together note, I do have, we are working on a live project together right now that's called Outreachy. In Slack, you may have seen my call for help in the contributor experience channel, but a part of the Outreachy internship program actually requires them to make a first-time contribution. So there's a lot of new contributors right now poking around the repos. So we made a chat room for them so that they can all funnel in there and ask questions. So if you'd like to help us out, feel free. It's hashtag Outreachy-apps. That's just for applications. And they're asking all kinds of questions about dev environments, about Python clients. It's really a grab bag of fun. Feel free to jump in there. And Nikita, my question to you is we probably should file an issue that we've kicked off Outreachy.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, so I'll take that as an AI for both of us, so just so we can get together and do that, Paris and Nikita, just to let people know that we are kicked off and are reviewing applications at the very least, and then we'll close the issue, when we've selected candidates. Cool. All right. And then that is that. And then I also had the next one on the agenda for the open mic today, which is which we focus our deep dive on for KubeCon Seattle. So for those that aren't familiar with KubeCon, KubeCon has both intros and deep dives into what a special interest group is. And the deep dive is sort of meant for this interactive session of let's work through a problem either together or let's explain a problem to you in so much detail that you're going to want to walk away and solve this problem for us. But in some kind of very microscoped way, if you will, whereas the intro is only a 30-minute, this is what we do, this is what we've done, this is what we want to do. Last year, actually not year, Copenhagen was only a few months ago. Copenhagen, we did like a developer guide talk. It was mostly event session. We had a ton of people say that they were interested in working on it, but when you actually dive into the work of the dev guide, you realize how much work is involved and what a commitment you're signing up for. And then a lot of people are like, well, I've got other stuff going on. So that's what we did for Copenhagen. For Austin, I think, what did we do for Austin? I don't think we did a deep dive for Austin. So does anybody have any suggestions, comments, any just discussion that they'd like to throw out right now for topics that you think would be super fruitful for us to either explore at KubeCon? I mean, this would be for an audience of, I'd say 30 plus contributors or people who are interested in contributing. And it's about, I'd say, 45 minutes.
Can we just print out the issues board and hand it out to people on site? Here you go, this one's yours.
Yeah.
Individual good first issue or help wanted ones, just hand them to each person there.
We could talk about how one of the things that I keep thinking about is how our maintainers, when you ask a maintainer where they need help, I hear anyway, the following things: refactoring, issue triage, and then like just general other work. So, but the thing is, like, we don't hit refactoring at all on our contributor guide, nor do we even really talk about it. And then issue triage is sort of the same. We have some docs now on issue triage, and so I'm thinking about, like, maybe we could open a deep dive to how to create personas for our contributor guide, instead of just saying, oh, contribute to docs, or oh, contribute to a good first time issue label. I mean, this is something that, like, kind of I guess the non-code guide is sort of formulating to this kind of thing. So I'm thinking maybe we could do something similar for code and docs, where we talk about very specific things that they can jump into and add value. I don't know. That's just what's in my cobwebs in my brain, but I don't know. I don't have any other better suggestions right now for a deep dive. So if no one else has any suggestions, that's totally fine. This is the first time we're putting this up as a discussion. So rest on it. Think about, how should we, use this time to ask the community for not only help, but their opinions, in sort of a less than contributor survey format. All right. So we are going to come back to this next week. I'll also put a note out to the mailing list that we're officially thinking about this. All right. And then Josh is up next with declining attendance and community meeting. Take it away.
Hey, so we were discussing this earlier today on the Slack channel. One of the things that I noticed is that the number of people sort of interactively logged into the community meeting has declined sharply. Based on some stuff that I wrote up for my employer, we've dropped from averaging over 100 people last December, or November really, to averaging fewer than 50 people for the last 3 community meetings that I attended. And for that matter, George was going over some of the YouTube stats, and while those haven't declined as sharply, they have declined. Except subscribers is up, but the people actually watching the videos is down. I think this is directly related to the difficulty we're having in getting SIGs to actually deliver their reports. Is that people just don't feel like they need to be at the community meeting anymore. And I'm wondering how we can change that.
All right, I'm actually pulling up the YouTube stats right now as well. I mean, I feel like I have some opinions. I don't know how we can found my opinions. I feel like our hype as a project is starting to level off. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Based off of the survey data that I saw, a lot of people had opinions about the community meeting that aren't really any longer. Like one individual wrote that he was, or he or she, or whatever. So I didn't even mean to assign a gender to a survey respondent, but I did anyway. Is this individual said like they got tired of listening to XYZ tell us how they're installing Kubernetes. It's kind of like, well, I don't know if we ever really did that on the community meeting. So it's wondering if we just have to keep refreshing channels like even Twitter, like, hey, up this week, like, Kubernetes.io tweeting like, hey, SIG cluster lifecycle is giving us a hot update on XYZ. So maybe we just need like a refreshed marketing campaign.
Yeah, I mean, part of this is I'm putting this in context because obviously one of the first things that I thought was it really a problem that attendance is declining?
Yeah.
The same thing I'm having is like I had a meeting with Kubernetes contributors in Brno when I was there last week. And one of their primary complaints is the inability to keep up with what SIGs other than their own are doing. And that's supposed to be part of the whole point of having the SIG updates, et cetera, right? Is that for SIGs that you have no involvement with, you get a brief capsule of what they're currently working on, and so you have some idea if it's going to affect you. Plus, like actually one of the other complaints from theirs was there was some development policy change that we made that somebody didn't know about, and they were upset when one of their PRs got rejected. And I look back, and it was something that had been actually announced in 2 different community meetings. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because part of it also is there's a bit of a feedback loop where the SIGs don't deliver their updates or they don't prepare for them. And therefore their updates are less valuable, and therefore other people find it less valuable to attend the community meeting.
I think that's a separate issue, and I think that is something that the steering committee needs to weigh in on as part of SIG governance, because it's in SIG governance that, hey, you have to do one update a quarter. I feel like, and this is the gray area of our charter right now too, because like the charter that we just submitted, it's kind of like it reads like we are the executors and operators of SIG governance, yet we don't create the policies, nor do we necessarily like discipline. I think that might be the wrong word. So it's kind of like that makes it hard for us to do our thing as far as like, hey, you really need to be on this call, because it's kind of like, what authority do we have kind of deal. So I think now that our charter is under review, I think we might actually get a lot of those questions answered. So I'm hoping that like maybe like a quick review to like SIG chairs of their responsibilities as like in SIG governance. I think that might help as well, but I don't know. I think we've got a lot of things to work on as far as that's concerned. But does anybody have any comments on maybe what they think, how we could either make the community meeting better, or what they, any discussion points about potential attendance decline and reasons why? I know Sarah, when she was still doing community for Kubernetes full time, tried a different slot. I think she tried an 8 p.m. slot as well. 8 p.m. Pacific. I apologize. That was me being West Coast centric. I believe they, at that time, it was like a year and a half ago, tried 8 p.m. And it only had 5 to 10 people, and it just didn't work. What we could do is put out a poll, I guess, to see if the time is an issue. Maybe we just need to get realignment there. That's one. So here, let's take some AIs here to see maybe. Should we look at changes, potential poll for new/global times? I guess I fret with that is, would we have consistency? Would it be a different meeting? It's kind of the same questions that we had for this meeting, where it's like, how are we going to make sure that that the meetings aren't siloed based off of time zones and stuff like that? Oh, deep action items. I apologize. Yes, always call me out on my jargon. I feel like I've got a lot of it. So anything else that we should take while we're looking at this? Take away?
Maybe if people are looking for specific things, send like a weekly thing to KDev just with the like general agenda.
I agree. I think I like
we're
that.
also sitting on, multiple like Twitter accounts that could be the Kubernetes contributor thing as far as like broadcasting comms.
And another unsung task might be actually going through and annotating existing YouTube videos. So it's like you can click and then you're right at the SIG update for SIG GCP.
Yep. And I put a discuss roll board entry in for something like that for meet our contributors. So, I mean, I always just edit and make it general. Just like help us annotate some of our videos kind of thing. All right.
I feel like a lot of these suggestions are falling under the marketing bucket that earlier, and I think that's definitely a way that we should be exploring that before we explore moving the
for sure.
the meeting. It's more likely that people have just fallen off the radar than it's
One other, at least thing going forward with the community meetings and such, is just like, a note taker or someone. Oh no, that wouldn't work out too well because the recording wouldn't. I was thinking of just like trying to somehow mark when, like, the next segment starts, but that's going to be completely off depending on who joins in when.
Yeah. Let's try the marketing campaign first. I mean, CNCF can help us with a lot of this too. So it's not like we have to put a lot of pen to paper here.
Caitlin has offered to help in this space too.
Cool. Yeah, let's try that. Another thing too is we could tweet little clips, like like kind of like what we did with the code base tour with Stefan. Like just do maybe like a little demo clip of like Docker on Mac or something like that that got a lot of views, and then say like, oh, this is the kind of stuff that you see on the community meeting. So that might help too. And I know I told Josh in chat, a lot of Googlers are using the YouTube link to join now versus Zoom. And they also read the agenda first. So many of them will read the agenda and then decide if they want to get on the call. So I don't know if I'm not going to make an assumption that others are doing that. That's just what I hear from my house over here. All right. And then Josh, you have the next one as well with keeping contributors informed of API and policy changes. I think you hit this a little bit too with the declining community meeting topic. But did you want to go into that? It looks like you might have a solution for the API changes.
So just for the API changes, which is I was discussing this with some of my coworkers, and they actually have somebody working on a machine learning tool that they think can identify API changes and automatically tag PRs with kind API change if they have an API change. So when they're ready to actually take a stab at that, I'll put a PR in org, I guess.
That's awesome.
So the other thing that came up was policy changes. I'm trying to remember the exact thing that happened in terms of how you were allowed to build things that tripped somebody up. But
it was probably CRDs or
do we have a central place for those kinds of changes?
KDev. I mean, that's
Yeah.
And that's also charter stuff too, where each SIG now is having to say like how they are telling people about their changes. I don't know if I don't think API Machinery has a charter yet, but we might want to flag them down and say, hey, when you write your charter, you should keep this in mind too. Because like in our charter, we have like, for instance, I mean, we don't make API changes, but like say we did, if we made an API change, then we would have to like alert KDev in a certain way, give it a certain time, alert this other channel, alert this. Like it's kind of a thought out thing on the charter as far as our process. So I'm wondering if like API Machinery and other groups that like kind of touch on dev topics are going to have similar stuff, and like we should hold on. I'm gonna actually AI.
I may have some pertinent information on that. So
Oh, cool.
specific to API changes, it's not API Machinery, even though the name is misleading. API changes themselves are the purview of SIG architecture, and there is a sub-project within SIG architecture that specifically is tasked with handling API reviews. And within the last, I want to say like 3-4 months, they've completely kind of overhauled, formalized what their process is. There was a lot of kind of ad hocness to it, but the process now is a whole lot more formal, and not only just like how API reviews are being handled, but like who signs off on approving API changes. Anything that does touch an API, like the core Kubernetes API, needs to go through a very special SIG architecture review process. As far as flagging those changes, there is already a method in place that is used to flag changes to the API, and it's handled through owner's files right now. And basically, things that touch API get the kind API change label based on the directories they touch. And there's a lot of different places that you have to touch to change an API, but they all tie back to a couple key places. And we have verification scripts in place to double check that, like, hey, if you've updated an API, you have to update it here, 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 and here, and you have to regenerate certain things to make that work. So those verification scripts make sure that you touch all the right places. And if you touch specific places, the core source of the API, those will flag kind API change. We also block on owner's files there. So like, even if you're a top level approver in all of Kubernetes, you can't approve an API change. It has to go through the API review process. So there's, as far as exposing, like communicating better around API changes and informing people about it, I think that if that's a piece of feedback that we're getting, then probably we need to bring that to SIG architecture and be like, hey, this is a piece of feedback that we're hearing from people, and you guys are responsible for the API. How can we do better on that?
I forget if it was implemented as a KEP or not. It may have been, but Jace would be your point of contact for that. He was the one spearheading that effort.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so it sounds like people just need to know where to find the information.
Yeah, or we just need to surface it. I mean, it sounds like it's something that we could just collect and then ultimately like service weekly, whatever.
If only there was some kind of developer-focused guide that described how we do things on this project, and then changes to our process could be made by PRing changes into that guide.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Aaron, because we have someone coming on board that's getting paid to do just that.
Awesome.
They start December 3rd. Get ready, everyone. That's our outreachy intern. To give context to everyone, we put in an outreachy internship to do a dev guide. However, it will not be done until February at the earliest. However, it will be nice. So we can wait for nice things. All right. So yeah, looks like we'll dig a little bit here. And then next, Aaron is now on the call. Aaron, would you also like to introduce yourself? Because we did a little bit of introductions in the beginning.
Sure. Hi, I am Aaron is mobile instead of Aaron of Sig Beard because I'm walking around right now from a different thing. I am on the steering committee. I am the co-founder of SIG Testing. I actively attend SIG. I also actively attend SIG Release and SIG Architecture, and I am the 113 release lead shadow. I like to simplify process and delete things. Does that fit the bill there?
Sounds great. All right. And you have a dev stats item on here, and then I have to do a really quick retro. So can you keep yours?
It will be very short. So
Okay.
basically, all sub-projects in the project need to be defined by owners files because sub-projects have to be made of code or documentation. The dev stats entry was just Elsie's name. It didn't actually link to an owners file. So I made an owners file, and I also made a README to roughly describe what I think we do with dev stats, or like what that sub-project actually is. I suggested that Josh Burkus, myself, and Elsie be listed as approvers for that owners file, so that if we want to refine what that sub-project is or what we do or how we do it, I think the three of us have been the most active in doing it. I also suggested some other folks as reviewers who have contributed to dev stats, like Dims and Nikita, who most recently worked on the charting things out by country. So yeah, if there are no objections, I feel like I want to merge that, and then yay, every sub-project is an owners file, and we can maybe start writing some automation to consume these owners files and do them a little bit more nicely. That's it for me.
Awesome. All right. Does anybody have any questions for that? Josh, I think you had some questions in the issue comment.
Yeah, but those can stay in the issue comments.
Okay.
All right, I'll get to it later. Like, my point was basically to just stop the bleeding and make sure we had something, and then we can follow up in a different PR in terms of like, what are we actually doing here? That sort of thing. Whoever asked, chat isn't very persistent for me. Can you just comment on the PR that's linked in the meeting notes, and I will definitely add you.
Oh, it was Lucas, by the way. All right, we have 4 minutes left. I wanted to do a very brief, not really retro, more like what happened, how we can do better. Sunday night, I guess depending on also where you are in the world, Sunday night my time, during the GitHub outage, attempted to push our charter. However, there was an outage and I could not push, and decided to start troubleshooting for 45 minutes where I pulled my hair out and thought I was pushing to my local and accidentally pushed to our master upstream, which then in turn also caused other issues. So therefore, I tried to revert and got a protected branch problem and pinged Christoph and Aaron and other people, to which we ended up getting the problem resolved. It wasn't too much blowback. Christoph and Aaron, do you want to talk about how you either solved that or how what the other side to that coin was?
I'll let Christoph speak to how he solved it, and maybe he's already got some opinions on what we could do to further protect things locked and loaded. I have some follow-up things, but Christoph, go first.
Sure thing. So the push, like the push that happened was just a forward rolling push. It was like there was an extra merge commit that merged a branch into master. Nothing, like no previous commits were touched or impacted, which made it fairly easy to do a straight revert and basically roll back time to commits on master. The branch protector was in place. So things that I discovered, the branch protector was properly in place. So you couldn't force push. You couldn't roll back time essentially without manually removing the branch protector, which is what I did to fix things. I manually removed the branch protector, rolled back time, force push the branch and then put the branch protector back in place. So at least the branch protector was successful in preventing like any changes to like previous commits. Like that told me that, you know, the rest of the Git history was sane and nothing had like messed up going backwards in time. So it was fairly easy to do just a straight rollback of 2 commits and push that up. It looks like I need to see, like, GitHub has made actually some changes in the last, I don't know, I want to say like 6 months or so to how they formulated do branch protection. And there's some extra options that weren't in place when the current branch protector was developed. We have a prow module that goes through and automatically protects every branch it sees with some default settings, just to ensure that branches on upstream, like that accidents don't happen with that. But I need to see, like, I think there might be additional options as far as restricting who can push to a branch no matter what. And basically, like, if we say, hey, this repo is a bot repo, like, literally only let the bots merge. Don't let anybody else merge unless, like, extra manual confirm, check the big red check marks, extra steps have been taken. So I think there's a few more options we might be able to do there, but I haven't had time to, like, super deep dive on it beyond, like, looking through the GitHub UI and seeing what's available and noticing that all that branch protection UI has changed.
Okay, so from my perspective, I will try to keep this short because I know we're basically at time. Like, nothing was lost, no information was lost, no passwords or sensitive data was exposed. So I didn't feel like we had to rewrite history in this case. I feel like a straightforward pull request with, like, an anti-commit for what had accidentally been merged would have been fine, and a simple solution. The reason that Paris was allowed to push directly to master in the first place was because she is one of the admins for the community repo, amongst many other people, like the steering committee members and yourself, Christoph, and a couple other people. So we could try setting things up to make that more stringent and prevent more or less anybody from accidentally writing to that repo. The problem is admin access also lets pairs do useful things like frontline moderation if people post inappropriate comments or things to the community repo. And it's also the same team that gives her right access to the project board that I'm sure you all walked through earlier. So we could certainly split the teams up such that there's one team for project board access and another team for repo admin access, and see if that makes it harder to accidentally shoot ourselves in the foot. This is why I'm trying to see if I can push us forward on using Parabolas to automate our team management so that the creation of new teams and adding people to them would be just a pull request away. But all in all, it was like pretty much no harm, no foul. And I'm kind of shocked that was more or less the only major thing that went wrong when GitHub just completely caught on fire. So, yeah.
All right. So it sounds like some takeaways there is, do we want to split this up for the folks who only contribute to the other sparkly ways that GitHub has the community admin set up, like project board and things like that. Christoph, are you looking into anything, or are you taking away anything? I'm just taking some notes.
Yeah, I think of an action item. I think I want to sync up with Aaron on that to see if, like, again, from the GitHub administration team side, if we can, like, make a recommendation and bring a recommendation as far as what we should change there. Because, like, as Aaron mentioned, there is a trade-off with, like, removing the access that allows you to push to the branch also impact other sorts of access like moderation and that kind of stuff, which is not necessarily a good thing and is good to have there. But yeah, to see if I basically want to sync up and see if we can find what kind of recommendation we can make there as far as either removing access or changing access or branch protector settings or something.
I think another thing too, like if we like not to, and like something that we don't have to necessarily get too deep into, is I guess just letting everybody know on that's on that community admin thing. I guess maybe that this happened, and to follow that up, how we can get out of that situation if it does happen. Because like I think that from my end, I think that's what really like set me off, is because I did try to do the right thing, which is revert, and I couldn't because of the protected branch. So I think it would be good to educate all of the community admins on A, the responsibility they have as a community admin, B, the stuff that can go wrong as a community admin, and C, if it does go wrong, you need to follow X, Y, and Z. Like for instance, like do what you did, like do the anti-commit, or always contact GitHub management folks right away. I think that would be super cool to have that. I don't know if we do have that documented, but I think that could be pretty useful as well.
I agree. Like having some sort of, because honestly, that document, like community is just one of our repos. Having that kind of information as guidance to admins on all of our other repos. I know this is not the only repo that something like this has happened on, which is what spurred a lot of the branch protector stuff in the first place. Yeah. This exact kind of thing has actually happened on Test Infra. So that spurred the Test Infra people to go and like, okay, we should probably create a plugin for that. So creating at least that guidance of like, hey, you pushed a branch that you shouldn't have pushed, or you pushed a thing to master that you shouldn't have pushed. What do you do now? Would definitely be like a helpful making things better document.
Yes. Yeah. I think that like that right there would be, I mean, that would ease my heart for sure. Like 100%, because I went right into the, okay, I'm going to do what I know best, which is revert. And then got the protected branch, and then went into literally full panic mode of, oh my gosh, I just blew the house. And yeah, as you know, contacted you, Aaron, and literally everyone and Bob was like, I'm just like typing up, Bob, get me out of this. Like, this isn't good. So I think that like once that panic set in, I was no good. All right. So we are 7 minutes over. Thank you, everybody, for dealing with us and our ranting. Thank you so much for everybody in different time zones. This was awesome. We had a full house. I think at our high, what do we have, 15? So it looks like we'll do this again next month, unless anybody has any outright objections, concerns, or problems. All right. Other than that, one other comment. We are not meeting next week, y'all. So next week would make 5 meetings in a row. Not in a row, but in a month, which I think is overkill for anyone. Does anybody have any verbal objections to us canceling next week's meeting and proceeding to November 7th?
Formal support from me on that.
Yeah, one less meeting. I'm about it. Like,
but however, will I reach my 10 meetings in a week?
Now you have 9. Thank you, contributor experience. All right. So I will formally, I think our time box is 72, which I think it might land sometime in the next 12 hours. But once the time box is up, I will cancel the meeting next week, and everybody can have an hour of their life back, which means I'm ending with, I will see everyone November 7th, 10 a.m. Pacific time. What is that, like 5 p.m. UTC? I don't know. Someone else do the UTC math for me. But anyway, see everybody next week. Old time. Thank you so much. Rocket. Toodles.